In 3, 2. Hello. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Andre Nagel, and today I have none other than the mystical, magical, menacing Julian Morales, everybody. If you do not know who he is, today is the day. He is a director, screenwriter, cinematographer, partial actor. You know, you gotta dip your toes in everything just to make sure you're doing what you need to do. Julian, we are here today to talk about film, your passion, career, and your joy. And I know from the beginning, the movie that started it all, Spider-Man. Yeah. And it's funny because Spider-Man was, I think, the one movie I remember going to for the first time to go see in theater as well.
Really?
Yeah, my mom took me.
Wow, yeah.
Back in 2006, I think it was, or maybe earlier. Was it 2006? Or was that?
It came out in 2002, but
2002. Yeah.
Okay.
It was probably that one. I'm thinking of
Spider-Man 3 was
maybe
around
Andrew Garfield. I don't know. There's so many.
How
now.
dare you replace Toby with Andrew?
But what's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing really good, man. Thank you for asking. Yeah. I mean, I'm honored to be sitting across from you. You're a up-and-coming, emerging actor, creative director, filmmaker from Broward County as well.
I know, man. It's a joy to be able to be in this room with you and talk film because there's not many people that you can really talk to about it. And the one person, well, I have you and another friend that are really educated in it. And the one thing I've always felt was, I wouldn't say intimidated, but kind of like out of place because I'm not as knowledgeable with film than you are. So if I was to talk, like, let's say directors, names, certain movies that they shot, years, or type of camera that they used, I can keep up, but I'm not up to par like you are. So for the folks that are listening, Julian, tell me about yourself.
Well, I am a filmmaker. I like to focus on character-driven stories through like immersive storytelling, and it's just like it's kind of crazy, like, you know, the path that put me here, I guess you could say, because when I was younger, like when I was in high school, I wanted to be a film critic, but then I started film school in college, and I still wanted to be a film critic, but then I really just fell in love with the whole filmmaking process, like from beginning to end, from pre-production to, you know, like the writing and like planning the shoot and the locations and casting, and then the production, which is probably up there, like in my favorite part of filmmaking next to post. So like I love like working with actors. I love like shooting and finding the shot and finding the motivation when like shooting a scene, and then post is just like so much fun for me. Like I love editing almost as much as I love directing. Like I
can't relate.
Yeah, I noticed like even like especially in film school, like I remember during my year in my editing class, I was the only one I felt that really loved editing, the whole process of it.
Yeah.
Like but especially when it's like something that I've like directed and shot, or like, you know, or especially like if I like, you know, was like thinking of this idea for like, you know, a long time, like a year or so.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun to like, because basically like when I'm like doing my own like project that where I'm writing and directing it and producing it, I don't start like, you know, the ball rolling on the production unless if I see the whole film from beginning to end in my head.
Yeah.
So it's like in my head, I'm like watching it in the theater or at home where it's already like shot and edited. So basically, so when I'm like editing, it's like, okay, now it's finally, you know, coming together. Yeah. Now it's time, because now I did everything else. Now it's time to finally piece it together the way that I saw it. Or sometimes, you know, it doesn't necessarily come out like where it's like, oh, like this wasn't the exact cut that I wanted to do, but now like, you know, I have to find another way around it because of a problem, or maybe I find something else in the footage. I'm like, oh, actually, this would be a better idea.
Oh, it's constant trial and error.
Yeah,
constant.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error goes.
Do you find yourself like having a different feeling of approach when it's different from your own project to someone else's?
Mm.
or does it still apply when it comes to like editing?
Well, this is the perfect time to ask me because this is the last week was the first time that I ever directed something that someone else wrote, basically. So so that was really interesting and a different experience from what I'm used to doing, because like now I've done, I think now like 16 of my own shorts where I've like written everything, produced
16.
it. 16. Yeah, I just did my 16th short in this last month in December.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. And when did you do your first one? What year?
It was 2017, I think, because I started film school at the end of 2016, and then oh yeah,
So you went straight to college after high school?
Yeah.
Straight to film school.
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah. Well, you know, it was Broward College, community college, so it wasn't like a big endeavor, you know, because it's like community college, so it's like not like my brother that right now he's in UCF, so that one was like that one took more time for him to like, you know, go into, because that's like a big university, and he's the smart one, you know. He's the academic, me not so much, but
Hey man, you're the creative one.
well, he's trying to too. He's actually trying to. He's doing. He wants to get into video games. So it's like,
okay,
I'll be doing
There you
movies
go.
and he'll be doing video
The
games.
perfect duo.
So he'll be the new Hideo Kojima.
You'll make the live action of his games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like The Witcher.
I think we made a joke about that once. They were like, "Oh, I'll just adapt," you know, like, or vice versa. He'll turn my movie into a game or something. Bring it back. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was 2017 because I started film school at the end of 2016, but I actually failed film one the first time that I took it because I was still with
Julian.
I know.
How dare you?
I know. Trust me. My parents made me feel terrible about it, as I should have, because that was a huge waste of their money. And yeah, but it was because I still was going at it with the film critic mindset. Like I didn't catch the filmmaking bug yet. So like when I was in the class, like I like the first short that I did, even though my parents love it because my brother is in it, and like and then I did a sound quest exclusively by Tribe Called Quest. And so they loved it for that, and it's like this cutesy thing, but I really hate watching it because I can see watching it now like how much I was not giving a shit when I was sorry if I let the curse.
Hey man, this is full freedom here.
Okay, cool. But yeah, just when I'm watching it now, I could just tell that I just didn't care about what I was doing.
Yeah,
basically, and yeah, my teacher definitely, you know, saw it because, you know, I failed that first time. So then,
no, keep going.
Oh, okay. So then after I failed it, then I took it again, and then when I took it again, I had a different teacher, but like the teacher that I had the first time I took it, he's the one in charge of the whole film program in Broward College.
Okay.
Or at least during my time, I'm not sure if he still is. I think he is, but anyways, so when I took it again, I actually tried to do the short again that I did last time.
You shot it.
Yeah, well, I was going to. Like,
Okay.
I submitted the script. I made some tweaks to improve upon it, but still wasn't caring.
Yeah.
And somehow, my previous teacher, because again, he was the one he's the head of the program. He saw that I sent the same script again, and then he emailed me through the school email, and he said that, like, you know, like, Julian, like, this is the same script, you know. How about, he said something along those, like, how about you actually like try and write something new? And yeah, like in the past, like I would always like brush that off, but for whatever reason that time I was just like, yeah, I feel like I actually could, you know, try and do something better than this.
Yeah.
So then when I was like thinking, so then instead of that script, I wrote, which was a comedy before. It was like a screwball comedy. Comedy, I know.
Look at you.
Yeah, who would have thought? But so it was a screwball comedy, and then the script that I wrote and did for the second time around was a horror film.
Okay.
Basically, it was like this psychological horror film crap. But I cared a lot more. I mean, I learned a lot from doing that because I realized like the things that like I didn't think about or the things that I missed. But when I was writing it, I was like, oh man, this is like gonna be like so much fun to shoot. Yeah. And then and then the shoot was really fun. And then like, but especially the editing of it was really, really fun for me. And then showing it to my class at the end of the semester was also a big, you know, joy to me, even though they were kind of like, this is kind of weird. and I mean, some of the stuff was like, yeah, because like there's a lot of logic jumps in that movie, but still, like, like that was like a really big, game changer in my mindset and also in my career because I realized how much I loved it.
Yeah.
And then after that, during the semester break, then I was like, okay, like I feel like I actually do really want to be a director. So then I was like, okay, well, let me test myself basically, and let me do a short film outside of school and see if
Mm.
this is really what I want to do. And then I did my first sci-fi short, Imperium. Shot it with my well, the cast with like the two male leads. They were like my best friends in high school.
Yeah.
Miles and Brandon.
I remember.
Miss those guys. And yeah, and then we had like a mutual friend and the third lead, and then the crew was basically like friends of a friend, basically. And then we shot that at my dad's old job at actually, I probably shouldn't say where it is, but anyways, but the thing is,
We're coming for you.
yeah, but that one was, I mean, it was really hard shooting that one.
Yeah.
Like it was a difficult production, but at the same time, still really loved it. And that to me was, the test there.
Yeah.
It was very hard to shoot, but at the same time, I still loved it and still
The
wanted
whole
to go through with
process.
it. And yes, and then again, especially the editing was a lot of fun. And then, yeah, and then that one, and then that was the first time I ever got into a film festival with a short film that I made at the Hollywood, Florida Film Festival. And then, yeah, and I won Best Director that night,
Look at that.
which was crazy.
Look at
'Cause
that.
which was
See
crazy.
what happens when you try?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Yeah, let that be a lesson.
Let that be a lesson. When you try, you never know what the outcome could be.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the best part. So, from that being like your first actual short film, what would you say Imperium's like your
Yeah, but it's
legit
like, yeah, it's
first
almost
film?
like my conceptual birth, almost you
Okay.
could say.
Your debut.
Yeah.
So was there any time before college that you used to shoot any type of video? Or was it really just like the critic perspective that you just held on to?
Well, when I was in elementary, I think I I actually did shoot like a play,
Mhm.
basically, where I think I forgot who was shooting it. I think it was my mom. Okay, so there was this movie, I don't know if you know it, called The Spiderwick Chronicles.
Yes.
I was obsessed with that movie when I was a
Really?
kid. Obsessed. Like I would like dress up
The
as
books were good
Jared.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read the books too. I was like, oh, this is all this is all really good. It was it was one of the few times that I actually would like
Read.
voluntarily
Yeah.
read a
Yeah.
book. But I love that whole world when I was a kid. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I should rewatch it. But
Be careful.
yeah,
Because like sometimes when you
ruin
go
it.
when you go like rewatch something from your childhood,
yeah,
especially with your new perspective in film,
Mm.
it could ruin it.
yeah, I know.
You could start critiquing everything about it.
Yeah, I think I did ruin like a movie that I loved as a kid once. I forgot what movie it was. But anyways, well, yeah, that tells you right there.
Yeah.
if I hadn't rewatched it, I wouldn't remembered
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I think like my mom was like doing the camera work. Like we used my aunt's camcorder, and then my whole family was the cast. Like I played Jared, and then my brother played the twin brother,
Yeah.
Simon, I think his name was, and then my aunt played my sister, and then yeah, and then my dad, he was the shape shifting monster,
Okay.
Mulgrath, I think his name was. And then my uncle, he was the author of Spiderwick, the one that wrote the Monster Guidebook.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I think that was my first time directing.
Directing.
It was my first time directing and acting. Yeah, but like so that was the only other time, because otherwise like never, like there was a time I wanted to be a photographer too.
I remember like you I helped you out with I think one of your projects.
Yeah, in college.
Yeah.
I was in a photography class.
Yeah.
Black and white. Film
And
photography.
did photography help you with like your like cinematography part in directing?
I think it did, like subconsciously. Like I never like, because like
Or did it really like grow your love for black and white?
Mm.
Because you shot a lot of black and white.
Yeah, that's kind of like
films.
my trademark.
Yeah,
almost.
it really is.
I haven't yeah. I mean, maybe it has. Like I haven't really like stopped to think about it, because it didn't have the best time in that class, because like it's definitely puts a new perspective on film photography and what I imagine film cinematography, because it's very hard to get it right, because it's, especially like now with like digital cinematography, like it's very easy to be lazy with it, because like with digital cameras you can see what you're shooting,
right there, the
live.
viewfinder, like a monitor.
Yeah, exactly. And
you
got a monitor.
Peak, you have the
exactly, false color and everything. And then with film, like you don't get any of that.
You shoot it just like that.
You need to know,
or
what
you
you're
spend
doing.
another $120 for like 3 minutes of film.
Yeah, that class freaking killed my wallet, man. And but it definitely put a new perspective on it. And I think it did help, because I think it definitely like helped with like with my cinematography, with like keeping an eye on like composition and lighting. Yeah. So like I think it did help, especially with the lighting, and I didn't think of it until now, but like I think it has. I don't know if it made my black and white photography grow, because I've always loved it. Like I think honestly the cause of it is my one of my uncles. He's he has like photography. He does photography as like a hobby, but like he almost always shoots in. Well, I mean, I think he has a digital camera, but he almost always puts it up in black and white. And I think that's funny now that we're talking about it. Like I never stopped to think about it, but now I'm thinking about it. Like all the little things that have like influenced me, to do what I do now.
Yeah.
And I think my uncle was a big part on why I love black and white cinematography and photography.
Kudos to him.
Yeah, I think I should. I need to tell him that now, because I never thought about it. Now I realize that it is him, I believe.
Uncle, you've made me.
You made me. Yeah,
you made me into who I am. This monster today.
This monster who always shoots in black and white. Yeah.
But honestly, man, it's crazy to see like what you're even able to come up with. And not saying like you're not able to, but just what you have created throughout the years with all like your film, especially your screenwriting. Like your writing has gotten so much better.
Thank you.
like it, and that's for everyone that just continues to keep writing screenplays and all that. But it's crazy how like the dialogue is getting so much more real with your writing, and it's awesome. So I know that recently, I think it was last year, you went to LA, right? And you got to be a part of like a affiliate program for film. So tell me about that. And I know like we didn't really touch base on it, but I'm eager to know. So
well, thank you for asking. So yeah, that was the time of my life for sure.
Yeah.
So it's this program called Tomorrow's Filmmakers Today. It's part of this film festival in LA called Hola Mexico.
Okay.
And it's ran by Diana Luna, Carlos Lopez, I believe he's a film critic. He's actually like very popular film critic. Like his writing's been featured in like the New York Times, I believe.
Look at that.
And like popular like film magazines. And like and he just like like this year, like I saw like on a tweet that he posted, I follow him, and he profiled like 4 like very prolific Mexican actors that had like big American debuts this year. Like he recently just profiled Diego Calva, that he's the lead actor in the movie Babylon that came out.
Okay.
And he also interviewed Tenoch Huerta, if that's how you pronounce his name. He played Namor in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got to interview him, and 2 others that I can't remember right now, but he even got to moderate a Q&A with Guillermo del Toro for his Pinocchio film in LA. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like I was like, oh damn, like you're the
and so he like touch base on The Fallen?
He's basically like he and there's another Aldris Hodge, and then I think like the one that like he's the lead of Hola Mexico, but he's also like a big part of Tomorrow's Filmmakers Today. They basically are like the jury, like they're the ones that watch all the films and then select the filmmakers. So that means he saw my film. And like I don't know if he was one of the ones that fought for me, because like they also like what was cool is there was a day where Diana, who was like the leader of it, Diana Luna, she gave us a bit of a behind the scenes look, like in conversation about like what it's like to like pick everyone, and like like how they decide. She was saying that like that like they actually could get into fights over like who they want to be a part of the program, or like sometimes they'll like very like angrily debate on like who should have a place. Basically, I hope you fought for me, but I hope so. But it'd be nice. But
Let's
but
say
yeah,
that they did, just to keep the.
let's just say they did, just to so I don't like
just keep it there.
start bursting into tears.
So going over there, the main reason was because The Fallen got picked.
Yes.
To premiere over there.
Yeah.
And you got to go to the premiere. And you got to go to LA for the first time.
It was my second time in LA, but it was my first time ever being there like as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So that was pretty great. And also a big difference because the first time I went there was as a tourist. I think it was 3 years ago. I think it was like 2019. Yeah, it was 2019. Okay. Oh yeah, wait. So that was more. So like, it's just 20. Okay.
Yeah.
It was 2019 because I remember now because when we went there, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had just come out and we saw it there in LA in the Cinematographer Dome. Nice. And that was pretty incredible, although very uncomfortable because I think the AC was broken or something and it was very hot. We were sweating for the whole 2 hours and 40 something minutes.
Especially watching Brad Pitt.
Oh boy. Yeah. He had that great shirtless scene. Okay. But yeah, okay. But it was really nerve wracking.
Yeah.
Going there that first time. Like I kind of was already like, I can't live here. Like, I mean, like I'll come here for a job.
Yeah. But it's a different breed over there.
Yeah.
It's a different breed. Yeah. And, I would say the same for New York too. Like New York is like, that's hustle mania.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's what I've heard.
And LA, like it's doable. Like you don't have to, I wouldn't say you don't have to work as hard as if you would if you were living in New York, but it's like, there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
Especially for this field of work. So yeah, so going over there, for the premiere, like, what was the whole process? And yeah, I know you went with Amy, right?
Yeah. Well, she joined in later because it's a 10-day long program. Mars Filmmakers today. So
just locked in a box.
Yeah, yeah. But it was just great, and just it's honestly just like crazy. Like every time I look back on it, because like every single person that they picked was extremely talented. Like sometimes I still can't believe that I was chosen among them. And the bigger thing is that they all were amazing people. Like every single one of them was very kind to me and welcoming, and they made me feel like I belonged. And that was like a big thing, especially during my goodbye speech because when we all got our certificates, like everyone gave like a little like goodbye speech, and that was a big part of what I said, was that like you all made me feel like I belonged. And that's something beautiful. And that's something that's like, that doesn't come along very often for me. But yeah. Okay. So to rewind, awesome. So the first day was like just introductions, and we met at the Academy Museum, and I had never been there because when I was there in 2019, it was still being built.
Okay.
So we met there, met everyone.
Fully finished.
Yeah. It was beautiful, that place. Like awesome. I want to go back there again to that museum. And then someone gave us a tour, like a member of the Academy that worked there. She gave us a tour and like, basically just like, really like, inspire us to like keep going. And, maybe one day we'll have like a slot in the wall for one of us or all of us. Yeah. And then like, but before the tour, they also like trained us on how to like sell ourselves, basically.
Nice.
Like basically like
the elevator pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's like, but for yourself, like not necessarily for the project. I mean, that's a big thing too. But but basically, it's like we sat for like I think like it was an hour or like 40 minutes or so, and we all basically, with someone training us, like we all came up with like a log line for ourselves, basically, where like we just where we had like we all came up with a sentence to like describe who we are, what our interests are as filmmakers, and like what we do, basically.
Was that hard?
A bit, yeah. I mean, especially because like at first it's like we're gonna come up with this like 2 sentences long, and then after that, it's just like trying to find a way to condense it to 1 sentence, because the whole thing that you learn is that like most people are gonna have a short attention spans, so it's like you need to get them right there.
Yep.
And that was hard to like wrap my head around a bit, but like some people are kind of like born for that. Like there's this one guy that I love. His name is Wesley Rodriguez, that he would do this thing where like he would put a joke into the log line, and like it felt like kind of silly at first, but like it worked, because like when he would do that afterwards, like and like do the joke with like his like pitch for himself, like people would want to engage with him.
Yeah.
Like they would keep on with the joke. He basically would say like, oh, like, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a part-time reggaeton artist. And then like, and they go like, part-time reggaeton artist, like, well, what's your name? He's like, oh, my name's Platano Papi. And then they're like, Platano Papi or whatever. Like, okay, well, where can I listen to your music? Like they would keep it going.
Yeah.
And like,
sparks interest, and
exactly,
then sparks conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that was funny too is that a couple other people would like try to like do the same, like they would try to they would try to do like some kind of joke too.
Yeah.
But it's honestly like pretty great, and that was a good first day. And then every other day was people from the industry in LA would talk to us about like programs that they have to like support filmmakers that are up and rising.
Yeah.
And then also at the end of every night, they would, because it was during a film festival, we would also watch the films that were selected and screened during the film festivals in two different theaters. Like one was the Regal LA Live in like downtown LA, which was great.
Nice.
And then the other one was this place called the Montalban Theater, which was where we mostly were basically.
How was it seeing your film on the big screen?
I mean, yeah, it's just like great, because like I got to see it, on the big screen here in Miami.
That's right. That's right.
Silver Spot Cinemas for Filmgate, and that was great. That was a really big moment because like on the Fallen that we shot together, that was filmed on like Arri cameras, so it's like meant to be seen on the big screen, and so that was amazing the first time, and then the second time still, but like the bigger thing on the second time was like being surrounded by this new group of friends that I had, and even like old friends, because like I had this actress Moore that she used to live here in Miami, and then she made the big move to LA a couple of years ago, and like she came out to support and watch the movie.
Nice.
So that was also really nice, and so yeah, but it's like it was a different experience because there's all those
different environment too.
It's a different environment, and apart from the niceties that I mentioned, but there were actually some people there that were important that saw it.
Yeah,
basically, one is like one of the people that are part of the jury saw it, and they're all like pretty important. But like Eldris Hodge, he came up to me afterwards and said like, when you're like looking to turn this into a feature, let me know. Basically, so that was the first time someone with like
awesome,
with any kind of like big connections like that's came up to me and said like, hey, like when you turn to a feature,
ready.
Let me know.
I'm ready for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice, dude.
So that was pretty great.
So like me personally, the one thing I try to stray away from, but it's like natural to do, is try to get a non-bias reaction and feedback from people when you're trying to show your work.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you're showing it to people that it's like I said, it's natural to be biased.
Yeah.
And to say like, oh, that's good. Wow, that's amazing. Oh my God, and all stuff. But when you're in a room full of other filmmakers and people who want to see you strive to do better, what difference do you see, and what things that they say differently that separate the bias and the non-biased people for your film, for your work that you try to share it to?
Well, that's something that I struggle with to give. Because like, well, especially if I just met someone, like, they ask me like, do you think it's good? Like, it's hard for me to just be 100% honest.
Same.
Yeah. And, but when someone that I've known for a while, I'm comfortable then to be honest, because like, hopefully they know that
it's not coming from a bad place.
Exactly. Yeah. It's coming out of love, and it's coming where like, I want us both to rise, and like, and if you're asking me for advice, I'm giving it because I want to see you, do better on the next time, or maybe improve it while you still can in the edit, and, well, thankfully, like I've had some pretty good, ears or like eyes when I'm asking people to like look at something that I made and like tell me what you think, because, well, especially for the most part, my test audience is pretty much my family, my parents, and my brother. But my brother is definitely my most honest critic.
Nice.
Like,
which you do need.
He will not sugarcoat anything.
Good.
And then my mom's like a good like in betweener. Like she'll definitely like tell me if like something's not working. But like, she'll hold back like a tiny bit. But then, that's just because like, she's like my biggest cheerleader. Yeah. So, but it's not. But it's like. But so then, yeah. And then my dad, it's like more like on the fluff where like he doesn't. I mean, he'll like point something out if something's off. Like you know, like he'll like his
Like I don't get that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
or like yeah, like something, or like his biggest thing has always been like the sound quality's not there, and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is true, and but it's just interesting, like but then like with other filmmakers, like they can be like kind of like my brother, where they're more like blunt about like what's wrong, and then like but like but
And that's what works.
yeah, that's what
That's what
works.
helps you have a an outside perspective.
Yeah,
Because I feel that you can only see so much
yeah,
through your vision.
yeah,
And once you open a little pathway for another perspective, I think that's when you see a bigger picture than what you even imagined.
yeah,
And it kind of helps you kind of rewrap everything and be like, oh, now I know what I can do,
yeah,
what I can change, or anything like that, or alter. And another thing that, like, I don't know if you go through this, but I do, is when I create something, let's say like a music video or anything like that, like that's what I've been doing the past like year.
yeah,
Um, never content.
mm,
Um, I always know I can do better,
yeah,
and that's why I try to strive for each project. But it's like so hard because there's I feel that the moment you become content, you become complacent
mm,
because you don't see the next big thing.
yeah,
You kind of see this as the big thing, and you're like, okay, I've done it. Now you're not applying yourself as much as you were trying to make the one that you think that you've done it with.
mm.
Do you go through that at all? Like, do you ever find yourself being like, when you put something out, you finally do the final edit, and then you watch it like 10, 15 times, and you're like, I like it, I don't love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, like, yeah, well, that's just not like exactly that, but when we watched, when the phone screened in Miami for the first time in the movie theater, I was like that. I mean, I wasn't going like, like I like it or whatever, but like when I was watching it, I was, you know, going in my seat like, I could have been better. I could have done that better.
Yeah.
I could have tweaked this here. I could have done that better. And then like yeah, and then like and then everyone was like coming up to me, it's like, oh my god, that was amazing. But then like to me, I was like kind of like, yeah, thank you,
Thanks.
thanks, yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna go just do a whole new draft.
yeah. Or I'm gonna do a whole other short.
There you go. Yeah, like you did.
Yeah, exactly.
And which was fun.
Yeah.
Which was fun. And like I'm really appreciative that um that you allow me to be a part of these projects. And just kind of like seeing you work and kind of seeing like how much you have like crafted into the director you are today. From, I think the first film we did was One Bad Day.
Yeah, yeah,
From there to now, it's just like, I told you from the beginning too, like, dude, you got it,
thank you.
got it. And it's just a matter of time when it's like for instance, when you go into LA and the guy sees The Fallen, he's like, when you're ready for a feature, like, I'm here. And I think that's like a big stepping stone for you as well. Um, and just to even be like alongside, even from like the sidelines, even seeing it happen, not even being a part of the project, it's like, yes, dude, fuck yes. So your career path, I feel like it's solidifying. And is there really anything that you're striving to execute this year, since we are in the new year?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're really just like, you've been thinking about it and you're like, all right, now is the time. This year I'm gonna do it.
Yep. It's yeah, I'm making the big leap, which is I'm gonna make my first feature film this year. So that's been
Nice.
yeah, that one's been a bit of a time coming. Like it was like I remember there was like one time I was at a film festival and like these guys that they made a feature film there that was being screened that night, and then they were kind of going like, why haven't you made a feature film yet? And like I didn't say it then, but it's like, well, because like the first feature is everything. I mean, you do the shorts to practice for the feature. because like especially last year, I went with this mindset that like every short that I do is going to be to improve a certain aspect of filmmaking that I want to work on. You know, like the first film that we did last year, Horizon, that one I was kind of like, I wanted to work on like, you know, relationships and like portraying drama and like, you know, dialogue. That was the goal that I had for that one. Or that was the the goal, that's the right word. And then after that, then we did Numb. And then that one I really wanted to like work on like, you know, doing like gritty storytelling and like, but more importantly, psychological
Yeah.
storytelling. Because
Yeah.
like that one, like it's an even deeper dive into the mindset of the woman, the protagonist.
Mhm.
And yeah, that one came out really cool.
That one did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope that one does well this year with film festivals. Okay, and then after that, then I made Blade Runner Blues, the Blade Runner fan
That's
film.
right.
Yeah,
That's right. And have you finished it?
yeah, it's out on YouTube.
right?
Yeah, so you can watch it on YouTube, and then it's also been doing. It's on a festival circuit right now under like a another title, alternate edit, so that like it doesn't get hindered back. That it's like, you know, a copyrighted material.
Yeah.
So it's like under a new IP.
Nice.
So it's been in 2 film festivals so far online. So it's doing all right. It's doing
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
yeah.
and then on YouTube it's getting a good amount of views.
And where on YouTube can people find you?
You can search up my channel, Julian Morales, Electric Dreaming Productions. You can subscribe, and then most of my short films are there to watch in full. If they're not there, for the most part, the trailers for the shorts are there. Yeah, and then so like for Blade Runner Blues, for example, that I just made with Aerial Films, they'll be there on YouTube for you to watch in full.
Nice.
And that one was really cool. But that one, of course, the going on is to put my feet back into sci-fi, because that is my favorite genre.
Yeah.
And I hadn't done a sci-fi since 2017, so that was pretty
It's time
cool.
to go back in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but so there was that mindset, and then also like, and also interesting too was that was the second time that I worked with someone else being a cinematographer, because like for the most part I'm always cinematographer for my own films.
So you mainly got to just focus on directing.
Yeah, so that was definitely like really interesting, and like definitely felt like it took a little bit of a load off, my shoulders.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, the cinematographer Aaron Tyler Gill, he did amazing work on that film. Like when you watch it, like it looks like we shot it on an Arri or a Red or something, and not a Blackmagic Pocket 4K.
Is that what you shot it on?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he used like these vintage lenses on it that like looked really amazing, and but at the same time, it felt like like being like that, being not there the whole time felt like almost like I got a little lazy on it. So, but that was kind of interesting. So like now it's like if I did that again, like it would be kind of finding a way to like make it feel that I'm a little bit more active, and hands on without being in the way. So that's another interesting thing, is trying to find that fine line of like not getting in the way, and like not being too like laid back, because I don't like the whole like directing where it's like you're just sitting in a chair.
Be present
exactly
throughout the whole process, and I understand that.
Yeah.
So another thing is, it's like you have many inspirations, and you see it through your films. And I know that obviously doing another, you just shot a Blade Runner, so I'm assuming Blade Runner is one of those. What would you say like really stands out to you, like from the films that have inspired you? Like what is it that's really set a tone and has implemented a whole different approach to your work?
Well, I guess I'll work backwards, because like a recent big influence that like completely changed the way that I make films is this filmmaker called Wong Kar-wai, and he made In the Mood for Love. He made
such a good movie.
Yeah, Chungking Express.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite films.
Saw it for the first time last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
I saw it for the first time in 2020 during the COVID lockdown.
Nice.
Like, we're all like indoors and can't do anything.
Yeah.
So then I started my subscription to the Criterion channel. And like,
great subscription.
Yeah.
Well worth it.
Yeah. And I heard about In the Mood for Love for a while. And I was like, oh, it sounds like, I guess like the kind of movie that I would, that I should love. It's like this like love story, but it's also like, about like more about longing than it is about like, a physical relationship.
Yeah.
Because it's about these two people that they want to be together, but they can't because they're like too busy thinking about what everyone else is gonna think about them, and maybe even like like they're kind of like programming because like they're like in 60s, it's in the 60s, so
Yeah.
it's like it's very like conservative around them, and like they're probably raised to be very conservative where you have to stick by your spouse no matter what. And yeah, but as soon as I saw that film, like I was like, man, this is like incredible filmmaking, and
Yeah.
it changed the way I make my films. Like a lot, like because before, like I would just think about mainly Christopher Nolan and Michael Mann and the two out of the three amigos, Alejandro Iñárritu and Alfonso Cuarón, when I'm making my films, and still do. But One Car Wise filmmaking being added to the mix, I feel like as I created something really interesting, or it makes something about it kind of I felt like made my filmmaking a little bit more original, even if I'm pulling from someone else's filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily like because especially now, like I feel like earlier I was a little too on the nose on like what my influences were when I'm making a short, but now I feel like it's more just like thinking about like kind of like what they would do, or like thinking about like what they did in the past, how it made me feel
Yeah.
with like how they did a camera move, or how they dropped the sound, or how they added in the sound effect, or why they chose this actor or this costume. So thinking about that, I feel like just like influences me to think bigger.
Yeah.
I feel, and then like, and so it kind of, and then it kind of turns my filmmaking into a little bit of a hodgepodge into like these different filmmakers that they're all like pretty different, but yeah, but I feel like it just like me being inspired is just what like makes me, is what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Like being like the constant inspiration of like what other people I've done and I've seen just makes me want to like add to like the big pantheon that is like film.
Is there anything new that you want to try that you haven't done yet?
well, like a big thing would be like filming outside of Florida.
Okay.
Like I would want to like like I really want to like because in my for my aspirations for my filmmaking, like I don't want to just be here in Miami. Like I'm just here because I can't afford to
Of
go
course.
anywhere else.
Yeah.
But like, but if it happened, the my career the way that I want it to go, like I see myself filming like in different areas around the world. Like
Nice.
I don't want to only be here, not even just like America. Like there's a film I want to make in Japan. There's a film I want to do in Iceland.
Yeah.
Like I really it definitely does feed into like my little hidden wish,
Agenda.
which is to
Yeah.
which is to travel, see the world.
Yep.
But I would say that like I want to see what that's like, like filming somewhere else, and like and like maybe and seeing what it's like to work with like a big budget, stuff like that. I mean, that's a little more down the line, but let's just say for the most part, I would really want to try seeing what it's like to film somewhere that's not close to home, basically.
Yeah. Gotta get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So, like, from where you're at now to when you started, what is one thing that you wish you would have known when you first got into film as a director?
Hmm. Uh, have backup plans.
Okay.
Because
Anything can happen.
yeah, exactly. Because like I mean, like I would say like the biggest thing that's like improved for me over the years is my problem solving skills on the set. Because like something, no matter what or how big or small it is, something always comes up that goes against your plan.
Yep.
And then like a big part of directing is
Problem
trying
solving.
to exactly problem
Yeah.
solving, finding a way around that, or using it. So it's not a hindrance; it's actually adding to what you're doing.
Yep. Well, I heard Scorsese's really good at that.
Yeah, like Jonah Hill talked about that on Howard Stern, I think, about how Martin Scorsese is like is the greatest problem solver.
He just closes his eyes for like 10 seconds. He's like,
yeah,
all right,
here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, but like, yeah, but that's like a lifetime of being on a set and things going wrong.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say that because like there's been a lot of times in the past where especially where like an actor would drop out like at the last minute, and then now like I'm kind of like screwed a bit. But I mean I've always kind of like found a way around it. But like I would like to like but like back then I would kind of like stress the importance of like having like backups basically, because like sometimes when like something like fell out of place, like it kind of did like cause a hindrance on like the short, even if
for
I did
sure.
find a way around it. But
Yeah,
because I would have rather it just gone to a plan.
I feel like it develops like a whole different feeling of like flustered and
Yeah.
like anxiety in a way.
Yeah.
So if there's 3 movies that everyone should watch, what are those 3 movies?
Blade Runner.
All right, 1.
Okay, Blade Runner. Memento.
Okay.
And In the Mood for Love.
Okay. Those are great 3.
Yeah, I think. Well, plus now, like I feel like those are the movies that really like directly influence,
Speak to you.
Yeah, they really speak to me, and
Yeah.
like, and I think about them every time I make a movie. Like those are definitely like among the top 3.
What do you think is movie of the year for 2022?
Well, for me, it was the Batman.
Yeah.
That one was my top film of last year.
I just watched it again, I think, a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, well, particularly more my brother, like he kind of rolled his eyes about that. But it's not even just because like I'm a Batman fan. It's just like when I saw that movie, it's like, apart from being Batman, it's like exactly the kind of film that I would want to make if I got, to the place to be like a Hollywood filmmaker.
Yeah.
It's a lengthy, character-driven noir.
Yeah.
And it's like very much like, director controlled. Like it's like when you watch that film, it's very much
by the production company or anything like that. It's like it was all Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
And he stuck to the true story of Batman, where Batman's not a superhero.
Yeah.
He's a detective.
Yeah.
A really good rich white guy that wears a suit.
Yeah.
But just like you said, it's just like being able to have that control.
Yeah.
And having confidence, not only in yourself, but like the people around you have the confidence in you to just lead it completely. And he did not miss.
Yeah, he did not miss. And neither did his entire crew or cast. I mean, the crew heads in that, like the key crew in that film is mind-boggling. Like cinematographer, of course. I mean, Greg Fraser is like one of my favorite cinematographers working today.
What am I talking about? That was fucking Dark Knight. Who's the composer for that one?
For the Batman?
Yeah,
it's Michael Giacchino. Yeah, he did Lost is a big one, and he also did like Up. Very different, but like
really,
yeah. But like I love the music that he did for the Batman.
Yeah.
Like it's very 70s, like Michael Small from Alan J. Pakula, which the whole film is basically a huge love letter to 70s cinema and Alan J. Pakula, who did like Clute, and so like so the cinematography, the sets are amazing. Like it's like a great cross between gothic and grunge. Like they stuck to the whole like Nirvana grunge aesthetic, and like the costumes are all great. The makeup and hair design is really great. Like not even just, of course, the Penguin and the Joker, but I just love
which is crazy.
I just love the look of Batman when he doesn't have the cowl on, with like the messy hair and the smudgy black makeup. Finally they like admitted that he wears black eye makeup. Yeah. but they actually made it work, and they made it look cool to me. And and then like the writing, like I just love that they actually made Batman like a flawed character, because like before, like he's like he's had flaws, like especially in the Dark Knight trilogy, he's had flaws like in Batman Begins. Yeah. But not like this. Like he's very much like a up character. Yeah. Like this guy has psychological issues.
Yeah, he has problems.
Yeah, he has problems, and that's one of the big things that I loved about it. And that like they kind of like really fleshed out that if Batman existed, he would probably at first like inspire more bad than good, with like people misinterpreting what he's trying to do and like take it in a bad direction, where like they're bombing people and killing people. The
beginning of that movie is so insane.
The beginning of that movie is incredible. Like
it's
I replay in my head.
He's not even there for the first 5 minutes. Yeah. And like he's already instilling fear, and you already get like your hairs are up.
Yeah, the opening narration. Yeah, the narration in that movie is great. Like it's
crazy.
Like it's like working on The Fallen made me really appreciate how hard it is to nail narration. Yeah. And but like the Batman, they really nailed it. I mean, it's almost like Paul Schrader wrote.
Did you hear like the cheap vintage anamorphic lens they used for that?
Oh, I heard that they
one of
designed
the
a new
scenes
anamorphic.
for one of the scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I hadn't heard about
I
that.
think it was the scene when the car chase with the penguin and Batman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they used like a cheap vintage anamorphic lens.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
was crazy, but it's actually like budget friendly. So it's like I saw a bunch of reviews. I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, I was looking into it. I was like, this is crazy. That they really went like down this route just to shoot this shot, which is one of the best scene throughout the whole film.
Yeah, that car chase is so great.
Insane when he's like, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And then
And I don't know if anyone caught this, but after they caught the penguin, they're interrogating him somewhat, and they left him. He starts waddling
like a penguin.
like a penguin, and like
Yeah.
I swear, because I watched it with like two of my friends, and I started laughing, and they're like, "What's funny?" I'm like, "Did you not?
You
see
see?
that?
He's waddling
He's
like
waddling
a
like a penguin." And they're like, "Ah, okay, I see."
Yeah, that's the thing that's good too, is that it's not too self-serious or overly serious.
Yeah.
Like it knows, when to poke fun and how to,
Yeah.
how to like put jokes in. Like having the penguin waddle like a penguin.
Yeah,
Like that's really good stuff. And and then the sound design, I can't talk enough about that. I mean the Batmobile startup scene, that's like movie history right there.
yeah.
Like that's like when I saw it at a an early fan screening at the AutoNation IMAX theater in Fort Lauderdale. And that so thankfully the group I was with was like respectful and quiet and not like, cheering all the time, which I loved, during like Avengers, but like this is like it's a different movie.
Yeah.
But that was the only time when the Batmobile was starting up in the dark. That was the only time when like you heard like little, increase of like cheering in the crowd.
Yeah.
But that's like super well deserved.
Oh,
because like that's like
the
unforgettable
sound
the way it
design is
sounded.
insane.
Yeah, not even just the Batmobile, like just like when
The whole
Batman
mo- yeah.
first arrives, where you just hear his footsteps.
Yep.
And it sounds like spurs. Yeah. And it's like, I never thought about that, about portraying Batman as like a, like a Clint Eastwood, like Western hero kind of thing. But like,
Interesting, yeah.
Because you hear the spurs, and then his cape is short, so it's kind of like the kind of like parka that Eastwood would wear in the Man with No Name trilogy, where it's like short, but it still like catches the wind. Yeah, it's really, really, really
like
good
I think my best movie of 2022 is between Batman, Argentina 1985.
Oh, I heard that one was really great. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I saw it's on Amazon now.
You have to watch it.
I will.
Have to. Like Ricardo Darín,
Mhm.
amazing. He carried that whole movie.
Mhm.
But is like phenomenal. And then The Whale.
The Whale, yeah.
Me personally, a lot of people really didn't like it.
Yeah, so like it doesn't have the best consensus, but that doesn't really matter to me. Like I want to watch it. It's just like, we talked about it earlier last year that there's a bit of a personal reason holding me back from watching it. But I do want to watch it because Darren Aronofsky is one of my favorite filmmakers.
And it's beautifully shot.
Yeah.
And then the story and just the acting itself, like what's her name from Stranger Things?
Sadie Sink.
She did her fucking job for sure. And this being Brendan Fraser's comeback, like wow.
Yeah.
And like I do hope he does do a lot more serious roles like this.
Yeah.
Just because man's amazing.
Yeah.
And it does suck to see what happened throughout the years. And even to see him get a standing ovation at the
Cannes Film Festival.
Cannes Film Festival. And it's just like, you know what, man? Well deserved.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm having trouble with is some of the movies that came out this year are kind of like flopping.
Like financially, box office.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like a lot of like
I think
a lot of like the original films.
I think Babylon kind of flopped too.
Yeah, it did. But I mean, like they didn't really do a good job of marketing it. Like
I think that's the biggest thing. Is like if you're not marketing well.
Yeah, that if anything, that shows you like how big it, how important that is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I get like, because like after COVID, like you really felt the shift and like when people will come out to the movie to watch something.
Yeah.
And with that one's like, okay, like it's a 3 hour it's a 3 hour plus movie and it's an original film. and like, but but movies like that don't get made that often. That's why
That's the thing.
that's why like this is rare seeing Babylon, and I saw Babylon. I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the ending and some story beats, but overall I very much enjoyed it. Like especially if you're a Martin Scorsese fan, you're gonna like this movie.
Nice.
Like because it's very much like like it has that that very energetic excessiveness that he like touched on in The Wolf of Wall Street, for example.
Yeah.
It's just like it's like well, I think me and my brother were kind of saying it's almost like a mashup of Wolf of Wall Street and Casino, where it's like this very extravagant, pristine, anamorphic picture. Excuse me, but then but it has like that excess, with like the Wolf of Wall Street, where it's just like, they like burn so bright that they like just like burn out at the end, basically because of like, like all like the poor choices that these characters made, basically. Yeah. But I very much enjoyed Babylon, and then like, yeah, I think I forgot what other movie was like. I liked it, but like it didn't really do well at the box office. I can't remember what. But another thing too is like that kind of sucks too is like like with the state of streaming is that like some movies that you'd want to watch in theaters that you can't watch it in the theater because it's only like in streaming or it's too limited of release where like you can't find the time to watch it when it's in the theater.
The one thing I was glad that you and I got to watch was The Irishman.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Although you were kind of like, oh wait, this is a 3.5 hour movie.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, but I mean, I think when did that movie come out?
2019 also.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I remember it was like I felt like all the Titans were going up against themselves, going up against each other.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, sitting through that movie, it kind of just like allowed me to really be more attentive of the whole thing. Like, and usually when I go to movie theaters, I'm always really into it. Yeah. Like, it's funny because I go with my girlfriend sometimes to go watch a movie, and she like has to ask questions. She has to, and it's like there's sometimes I can't answer because like it's only if you didn't catch it now, you have to watch it again to catch it. Like it's not really I can explain what happened because there were so many things that led up to this point. I can't just recite the whole thing while we're watching it. Yeah. But nonetheless, man, honestly, like I said it before, but just seeing where you're at now from where you were before and to where you're leading to, it's amazing. And I'm really proud of you as not only as like a fellow filmmaker, but as a friend. And to really see how passionate you are about what you do and what you create. Because there's so few people that are in that realm of passion and desire and drive to really make something for themselves and not for other people. And it's really admirable to see and to even be a part of sometimes. So the one thing I want to know is like what impact do you want to like leave from wherever your career leads to? What impact do you want to like have on people?
Thank you. I just want people to know that like because something that I've been thinking about, especially when we made Blade Runner last year, was like a lot of people that I come across or like friends. I mean, not anyone in the room, but but other friends like they'll come to me and they're like, oh, like I want to make this film, but I don't have the money or like I don't have an Arri Alexa, I don't have this, I don't have that, but like. I just want, if anything, I want my impact to just be that, like, you could literally do anything you want if you put your mind to it. And if you, like, really have that passion, that's going to carry you through, even if you don't have a proper camera. You can literally just use your phone. That's kind of like it's kind of like what I was kind of proving to myself. Because I made, like a few shorts now with just my phone. And, yeah, and then the last one we did on an iPhone played in a movie theater and it looked great. And that was Horizon that we did together. Yeah. Although it definitely helped that we used your newer phone.
Yeah, right.
But like, and then with Blade Runner, it's like especially because like people are like like I'd want to do a sci-fi trip, I don't have the money for it. But like, we did that, and I only spent like $300 on it. I mean, a lot of it, a lot of what saved us was like a lot of goodwill and then my DP already
Oh, for
having
sure,
equipment. So yeah, that does help, with like keeping costs down. But like at the same time, it's like we made it because we wanted to make it, and like we all have had the same passion. Because the reason why I picked him as my DP is because he literally has a Blade Runner poster in his home, just like I do.
Yeah.
And we both love that film. So we both like had the same stakes on the table where we were like, we love this film and we want to do it justice if we're doing a tribute to it, basically, and then we made the thing. And then, and
I mean, it's the field of filmmaking is all about creativity.
yeah,
Get creative.
yeah,
That's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like a lot of filmmakers who succeed is due to the non-belief of limitation.
Yeah.
It's really about like utilizing what you have. And sometimes what you have is right here.
Yeah.
And from there, that's what kind of like leads the way. And then the moment you do get access to all these other things that can help even make it more fulfilling,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to do it like nothing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Julian, thank you, my man, for coming on. It's always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure. And I am so excited to see what this year has for you. And nonetheless, dude, keep fucking going. Don't stop. And the best thing I really do love too is how supportive your family is. Like,
I'm really lucky.
Dude, you got it, bro. You got it, and they see it. They know it. That's why they're there with you every step of the way. Nonetheless, man, thank you. And before we go, please let the people know where they can find you on social media.
Okay. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Julian Morales EDP Electric Dreaming Productions. So that's where I'm mostly at on social media, Instagram. Otherwise, there's Twitter. It's under at Electric Dream I1, and then there's YouTube, which is under my name, Julian Morales dash Electric Dreaming Productions, and then I also have a Vimeo account where like some of my more like festival participant or festival selected shorts are basically on Vimeo, which is under my name as well, Julian Morales.
Nice.
So that's where you can find me, and thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it always is a pleasure being with you, Andre.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, brother.
And if you want to find us on social media, you can check out us on Instagram, at TikTok, or YouTube at Welcome to the Podcast, TADA. And if you want to get on the podcast, or you have any questions, or you want to just privately speak to me, I don't see why you would, you can reach out to me at welcome to the podcast at gmail.com. Once again, Julian, thank you, my man. Let's have a great night.